What's up, you guys? We're professional. I now have a microphone, so you don't have to listen to this echo anymore. Also, new bike in the garage. Let's talk about it. Yes. Alright, I feel better. I know what you guys are thinking. Gus, what are you doing with this big old bagger, new bike, radio, speedometer? What's this doing here? Where's the choppers at? You know, where are the shovel heads at? Where are the pan heads at? Why does this thing have so many accessories? What is this bike? Why do you have a dad bike in here? It's my dad's bike, okay? He bought this thing years ago, and he has a fantastic plan for it. It's just been a matter of time and kind of like parts collecting. Yes, it's a departure from what I normally mess with. Yes, it's more modern, but here's the trick. Here's the secret. Yeah, baby. Ta-da! Shovel head. Let me set this down. Yeah. God. Oh, fuck. I think I pinched my nipple on the way up. So yes, we are going to be swapping this greasy old shovel head into this fancy new modern bike. I don't know how many guys would actually consider this like a really modern bike. I believe it's a 91, but to me that's pretty dang new. And it begs the question, why are you going backwards? Number one, shovel heads are the best. Number two, shovel heads are the best. And number three, shovel heads are the fucking best, okay? Look at that bottom end. Let's scan over here. Look at that bottom end. Now scan back over here and look at that bottom end. All right, I'm gonna try to do this take again. Yeah, just going further down the road of logic here is that this bike gets lost in a parking lot right now. Stock as a rock, super cleanly, very nice, but there's not a lot of nothing that really makes it stand out. Plopping a shovel head into this thing is just gonna, I don't know, people will be doing a double take. I think it's gonna be pretty cool. Like, I love an Evo. Evos are great, don't get me wrong, but it's just kind of like the plastic era. Shovel heads came out in '66, peak humanity. Jimi Hendrix was playing the national anthem. Easy Riders came out. Guys in Vietnam were stick welding 50 caliber machine guns onto trucks. It's just like crazy badass, gnarly times. In the '70s, the shovel head just got more refined. You get the cone shovel, you know? What else happened? Like, rock and roll got heavier. People put shag carpet in everything, their homes, their vans. Ladies had shag carpet, if you know what I mean. And yeah, '70s were great, but I think the shovel head kind of looked into the '80s and it just said, no, I don't want a part of that, man. It saw the plastic, it saw the computers, it saw the neon colors and the techno music and the leg warmers, and it just said no. Took one last drag of its Marlboro Red, it got in its Trans Am, turned on Helix, and just drove off into the shovelhead sunset. I think that's what happened there. I guess my only real hesitation with this project is just how cleanly this bike is. My dad is extremely good at taking care of the things that he owns, and it shows. This thing is immaculate. It only has, wow, 9,990 miles on it. 9,999! Sorry, I don't know what that was. Yeah, it's an extremely clean bike. So again, if we're going to be doing this, it's going to have to be surgical. It's going to have to be extremely cleanly. And yeah, we're not going to be scratching the paint. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. I just filmed a time lapse of me pulling the tank off, and it didn't work for whatever reason. Boom, ladies and gents, there you have it. Yeah, that was, there's a lot more pieces to these new bikes than the old ones, that's for sure. I split this up over 2 days. I wore the same clothes so that you guys wouldn't know that. Strategy is looking like a cartoon character, so nobody knows what timeline you're on. But yeah, engine's out, and it was pretty straightforward. Like, again, there's more to these new bikes. The list is definitely a lot longer, but I just tried to be very methodical with everything, so I didn't get frustrated. You know, if you try to rush these things and you're not used to working on these new bikes, it seems like a lot. But no, I just took it slow. Engine's out. I feel great about this so far. Things are matching up. I took all the guts out of the primary. All the splines line up. Like, the compensator nut goes right onto the crank of the shovel head, so things are kind of looking good. I've also been thinking of like just planning as I went. So probably gonna end up stealing the charging system out of the Evo. Should go into the shovel, no problem. Probably gonna end up stealing like oil pressure sender. Probably gonna be stealing the ignition system off the Evo. I just want everything that was functioning flawlessly on this bike to continue to function flawlessly on this bike. Essentially, I don't want the bike to even recognize that it's not an Evo anymore. I just want it to know that all of a sudden it feels good. It feels better than it ever did before. So that's what we're going for. That's where we're at. Yeah, stay tuned. Shovelhead's going in next. Super proud to say this video is sponsored by 3 Horses Cafe and Speed Shop, 1250 DuPont Street in Toronto. This is my favorite coffee shop, ladies and gentlemen. And if you guys think a cafe and a speed shop is a weird combo, you're living in the past, brother. Because I'll tell you, man, these guys genuinely make some of the best coffee you will ever have. And while you're sitting down and sipping on it, they'll order you up whatever chopper parts you need, whatever hot rod parts you need. Hell, they'll even order you up some tools for the shop, man. These guys will hook you up. Not to mention that the space is just awesome, too. It's full of these vintage vendors. They've got new brands, too, like Brixton, Indestructible. All kinds of cool stuff, man. They've even got this wicked stained glass lady in there just killing it. Look at how cool this thing is. Plus, the world's coolest washroom. Yes, the first time I saw this, I lost my mind, man. These guys are crushing it. They're hosting bike nights. They're doing poker runs. You gotta go check him out. Go get a coffee, come out to a bike night, let him order some parts for you, and let him know that Greasy Gus sent ya. All right, beautiful people. It is another day, and I changed my shirt so you can tell. Just trying to keep this video interesting and dynamic. Ooh, he's got a new shirt on. Yeah. Sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about. I've got both these engines on the table now, and I'm just going to begin the process of, ooh, this is leaky. Still got some juice in it. I'm just going to begin the process of switching over different parts from this motor to that motor. Things like ignition system, things like charging system. I don't see an issue with the ignition system. I'm going to have to kind of dissect and get into the charging system a little bit just to make sure that's going to work, but theoretically it should be perfectly fine. Hey, I'm just editing this later. It's not fine. Kind of the trickiest thing, the most custom thing I'm going to have to do is make a bracket for this oil filter. I'm going to pull the camera off the tripod so you guys can see what I'm saying. Okay, so you can see here on this side of the case, ooh, look at my gut. Wide angle is really flattering here. So you can see here on the case, there's two spots where this oil filter would have bolted on, right? It goes back into the oil pump. That little tie down goes onto the case bolt there, but yeah, yada, yada, yada. You can kind of see how that would work, right? Now, over here on Mr. Shovel, there's nothing, nada. So this oil filter's still got to go here, ideally. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll bend up a bracket that'll mount on the underside of the frame here, like on the motor mount bolt, kind of swing up and hold this here. Yeah, not too complicated, just some messing around. But the idea is like factory location, again, nice, clean, subtle, nothing changing too much here. Just making things work properly. That's what I'm gonna get into today. It's a lazy Sunday for me. I just wanna kind of chill today. So we're gonna take it easy. Okay, we ran into our first little snafu, you guys. I don't know if you could see it from back there, so I'm going to grab these and walk up. But they are two very different thicknesses. I don't know if that's going to work out. The one off the Evo here is a high output, and the reason you can tell is because it says high output. Incredible, right? Anyways, yeah, the Evo is going to have like a bigger stator, bigger charging system because it's running more accessories on that new bike. That thing's got a radio, it's got speakers, I don't know, it's got gauges and more lights. That's more than any chopper really has. So anyways, this whole shovelhead stuff, it's probably not going to be putting out as much power, but I'm kind of contemplating different ideas here. I'm wondering, because right now the main goal is to retain these guys. I want to retain the factory switch so that I can just plug everything back into that bike. So what's giving me hope is there's two wires coming off the back of this guy, two wires coming off the back of this guy. Oops, dropped some bolts. But yeah, the idea is obviously 2 and 2. I'm not an electrical wizard, but I might just be able to go snip and then solder. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm going to do some research, see if I can figure this one out, because just given the situation, the pickle we're in, it looks like for everything to line up and work over here, we have to use this thickness of stator. I'll get back to you guys on this. I'm going to do some reading. Okay, well, It's been a couple of days. Could you tell I was having a lazy Sunday in the last video? I didn't have my head on straight. The spacer that the Seal rides on, it's a different length on the Evo. Here's the Shovelhead spacer. So yeah, anyways, I just pulled the main seal out. Probably a good idea to do the main seal anyways. Switched the spacers around, and then charging system went in, and I put the plug back together. So this Shovelhead at this point should literally just plug into the bike, which is awesome. Before we do that though, I'd really like to go over this engine, at least the top end, pull the top end off. You know, I'll be able to feel the rods at that point and kind of just make an assessment on this engine's health. Well, it's apart. We might even hone it and put a fresh set of rings in it, because you may as well, right? We've come this far. So anyways, today I'm going to pull this motor apart. You guys will see how it goes. Unbelievable, man. I filmed an entire time lapse of me taking this motor apart this afternoon, and it didn't save. Don't ask me why. I don't know. Technology just drives me nuts sometimes. That's why I work on this stuff. That's why I deal with old things. So yeah, I'm sorry. You guys don't get to see me taking this motor apart, but it went pretty good. There was some funky stuff going on with the hardware, like these cylinder base studs. Some of them came out. So I don't know. I'm going to have to mess around cleaning up some hardware, but for the most part, everything looks pretty good. Pistons are pretty new. 30 over, they look to be higher compression to my eye. They look very similar to the Weissco's I have in my Shovelhead. Valve springs and valve keepers look really nice. Definitely aftermarket. And that, to me, that suggests that there's probably a cam in this thing too. So I bet you this thing makes power. Apparently, according to previous owner, it did make power. Apparently this motor was pretty fast, so that's awesome news. It might be even better than the Evo we removed. That would be amazing. Needless to say though, we're in it this far. I've got a lot of cleaning ahead of me. I've got a lot of inspecting and probably a lot of measuring too. I'm going to talk to my dad about honing the cylinders and getting a fresh set of rings on these pistons, just because it's a good call if you're in this deep anyways. But yeah, my sincerest apologies for that filming mishap. Of course, man. Of course. I gotta clean these. So I'm cleaning up all this hardware for the cylinder bases, and you can see that a lot of the studs pulled out. I can't get that one out because he starts hitting a fin, so I'm gonna have to make some magic happen. And anyways, once I get them out, I'm cleaning them up with these thread chasers. So I got my fine thread side, got my coarse thread side. I've got a tap out if I really need it. I'm trying to avoid any of that, or sorry, I guess it's die. And yeah, just double nuts so I can hang on to everything and the vise. So that's kind of the plan. Just cleaning up this hardware. That way this engine goes together flawlessly. You know, Loctite on everything. Make sure that the studs stay where they're supposed to be. Okay, that went good. All the hardware is cleaned up. I'm really happy with it. It's going to help this motor go together so much easier. So yeah, I'm going to clean up this table, and all the dirty parts are on the table behind me. As I run things through the ultrasonic cleaner, as I clean things up, they're going to go on this table. Cleanliness is next to godliness, and you have to, you just have to be surgical, man. Surgical. Okay, so here's our next issue, arguably the biggest one that I've come across so far. I'll show you guys.
Oh my god. Oh my god!
So this is where the Evo picks up its oil. This is where it returns it through the oil pump. And that's just vent. So yeah, this is about halfway down that oil pump. Supposedly this pump provides enough suction, and it's also mounted low enough that apparently gravity helps it. So all good and fine for the Evo. That obviously worked great. Shovel head pumps, however, this is the feed here up on top. So that's a lot higher up. And when that sump is down here, it's gonna have a hard time pulling oil. These pumps don't like to pull. Typically, the oil bag is up here somewhere, and it's gravity fed, trickles down into this pump. So I'm trying to figure that one out. I thought about a few different things. I thought about swapping the Evo oil pump onto this thing. Not gonna work. There's more like inter-year changes and stuff than you would think for pretty much identical bottom ends. Those who know will know that Evo's oil almost entirely different. That was one of their big improvements. So yeah, the oiling system is just different to begin with, meaning that there's a different length shaft inside of this oil pump. The pumps won't switch around. And beyond that, there's two different kinds of Evos as well. There's Evos that breathe through the heads, and then there's Evos that breathe through the case, like the shovel heads do, right? That's why there's that little vent down here, and normally there's a hose coming out the bottom of your chopper that just pukes oil everywhere. That's a case-breathing shovel head. Some Evos were built like that too, up until about, I think they still made them in 91, but I'm looking at that Evo, and it must have been just like that weird half-year crossover point, because it breathes through the heads. So it's not a case-breathing Evo, meaning the oiling system is even more different. The pumps are going to be even more different. So that pump cannot go on this shovel head. Therefore, I'm stuck with this shovel head pump that can't pull oil. It has to be fed oil from a gravity-fed sort of source. So I'm kind of in this conundrum, trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to do to solve this problem. I had a few wacky ideas. I need to investigate this simple idea that I've had here. And I've tried digging around on the internet, but unfortunately, as always, the information that you're looking for is like hyper specific, and it just doesn't exist. So today I'm hoping I could do some actual physical digging in this pump and see what's up. Thoughts are, this port right here, from what I've seen from watching guys rebuild these pumps and having a couple apart myself, if my theory is correct, this gravity feed actually goes all the way past the gears and down to underneath the gears through here. So potentially I could take that plug out and actually just put in a fitting here, and that's low enough that it can be gravity fed from the sump on that bike. So yeah, the one problem I've run into is when I went to pull this plug out, it stripped. Of course it fucking stripped, man. Of course. So today I get to enjoy the soothing and relaxing process of trying to get a stripped NPT plug out of a reproduction oil pump on the back of a greasy old shovel. So it should be a very tranquil day. Unbelievable. It actually worked. The plug came out. I also had to take this bit, which is not the Allen key bit, it's a Torx bit, and it fit just barely. Hammered it in. That was enough. So that plug is toast, but the threads have been saved and the pump housing body thing has been saved. The pump cover is the words I'm looking for. So that's all good news. I feel great about that. That took like 3 minutes. I thought this was going to be a nightmare of a day. So yeah, all right, investigation continues. Okay, So I am going to essentially just plug this top, take that fitting and plug it into the bottom, and then try feeding oil from the bottom, and I'll spin the motor over a bunch, and if we start getting oil through the return, just like we normally would, well then I know that it can be fed through that hole at the bottom, therefore saying yes, thumbs up. So that's kind of the plan right now. Okay, we'll thread this in down here. And we're not going crazy tight with any of this stuff. I want to keep these threads as nice and usable as I can, because in case this works, that's when we're going to put some thread sealer on this stuff and actually tighten it down. Okay, I'm going to find some oil. All right. This is just some throwaway oil. So, just for the test. Oh my God, there it is. It's coming now. Watch this guy. See that? Okay, now I have a huge oily mess to fucking clean up. Man, that is such relieving news. I was pondering on that problem a lot yesterday, because that's not a small problem. This engine 100% needs oil. You cannot run a motor without oil. Clearly, we have a solution. My goodness, does it feel good. All right, as you guys can see, our as you guys can see, our clean parts table is starting to fill up. I'm probably going to do a little bit more cleaning on everything just because I've got some time, so you always should. If you have the time, make it cleaner. I've got out a bunch of tools that I know I need to build the shovel head. Like this little thing really helps for torquing down heads. This really helps for torquing down base gaskets. Other than that, it's just a bunch of standard tools. The one thing I'm waiting on is piston rings. All right, you guys, it's another day, and I've thought about this. I thought to myself, why am I just sitting around waiting for these piston rings when I could just throw the bottom end into this bike and then assemble the top end of the shovel inside of the frame? I've done it before with normal shovel head frames. This one looks like it's got even more room to work with, so I'm willing to wager that it's doable, and I think that's the plan, because I'll tell you guys, this is what we've been working towards. We've been working towards trying to get a shovel head in this bike, and why I'm not just doing that right now is beyond me. So I'm going to shut up. You guys are going to shut up. Go open a beer for me. We're putting a goddamn shovel head in this motorcycle. See you in a minute. Okay. All right, I'm going to try to show you guys this. We've got a little bit of interference there. And that is the crankcase breather hitting the return line into the transmission sump. So I thought I could get away with a 90-degree fitting. Evidently, there's still some touching going on. I'm going to mess around, see if maybe I could just twist these in a fashion that they clear each other. We'll find out. So you can see the hole on the right and that oil return line fitting on the left. Ain't no room for nothing in there. That's the problem I'm facing right now. All right, I gotta show you guys something. Shovel head's on the counter again, and look at that. Yeah. What is going on here? Oh, is that the oil pan? Oh, is the engine back out? Oh, why is the transmission coming apart now? Oh, it's been a couple of days, you guys. I've had this engine in and out of this bike, and I've tried this fitting for the crankcase breather. I did a 90 for the crankcase breather. I even got a vented flat nut style thing that's supposed to breathe. This is supposed to be good for 150 PSI. I could barely blow through this thing efficiently, so I don't trust it to work on the engine. All because that oil return on the trans and our crankcase breather were touching. They just line up perfectly. And with these rubber mounted engine trans setups, the engine and trans are so close together, those two fittings are like in the identical spot. They hit, they touch, I can't get motor mount bolts in. So I've tried every single fitting on the face of this planet, and it's just not working, and I'm tired of waiting a day at a time for another fitting to show up, for another fitting to show up, for another fitting to show up. So I'm going scorched earth on this motherfucker. Allow me to show you guys what we're dealing with. That's where the oil return used to be. I'm probably gonna move it over here. I've looked underneath, there's a lot of webbing for strength and stuff in here, and I don't really wanna mess with that too much, but it does seem like there's a spot where I can sneak a fitting right about there. I'm drilling, baby. Okay, we're nearing putting the shovel head in, hopefully for the final time. But before I go any further, I'm going to preemptively run some clear lines down here, just because I don't want to be fighting for space when the shovel head's in here. I know for sure that I want to run some clear lines so I can see what's going on inside of this thing. And now is the time to do it. So we're going to run some of these, and then we're plopping that motor in. Clear lines are silicone transfer tank tubing for like a brewery. So yeah, don't worry, they can stand up to the heat. You can see clearly where the oil level is. This pan's supposed to be empty, and it's already coming up that high, so it's a really good sign. Yeah, looking good. Wow, would you look at that? Kind of seems like there's a shovel head in this bike. Don't feel like you guys miss stuff, okay? It's not actually built. I've spent the last couple of days, because I'm waiting on piston rings. So that should give you a clue. It's definitely not built. This thing, the entire top end is just literally finger tight, couple of bolts, a bunch of bolts missing. It's just slapped on there so I could do everything else I needed to do. So that's stuff like fitting the pipes. That's stuff like making a top motor mount and making a horn mount thing adapter. What else did I do? So with the pipes and fitting and stuff, I had to shave down this positive terminal on the starter because it was touching. I feel like there's a million things, but honestly, it's just a bunch of mucking around. It's nothing crazy. I just figured I may as well do it while I'm waiting, because that way when these piston rings do show up, I can assemble this thing in like an afternoon. I know it's gonna go together. But yeah, sadly this all has to come apart. It just looks so good. It looks so much better than it did with an Evo. So one of the last things I really have to adapt here is the carburetor. We are going to be using the Evo carburetor. These CV40s are pretty good. They just look like a bunch of spaghetti is the thing, because you got all these lines hanging off of them. I just want to be able to plug everything in and this bike not even know that there's a shovel head in it. So that means retaining these vacuum lines. This fuel line's already bent up and perfect for the tank. This all works, and it worked great on that Evo. So absolutely no reason why it shouldn't work great on the shovel head. Look at this. I'm actually gonna read the instructions. It pays off, I'm telling you guys. Sometimes it helps. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Da, da, da. Casting marks, file, sand, da, 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 da. Carb cleaner, JB weld. Okay, carb spigot. Yeah. Okay, cool. I get it. Time for the goop. Goop time. For that. This feels so wrong, but whatever. It is kind of fun. Oh yeah, there we are. I'd say we're home. I'd say we're home on that. Yes, lines up beautifully. God, it does feel weird using JB Weld. It makes me feel so unprofesh. Should I go the extra mile and scrape it off on the outside too? I think so. Can't call yourself an artist unless you're really going for it. Just a carburetor. Boom, baby! That's a carb. An adapted carb. And I think that's the last thing we need for this bike, man. I think that's it. I think now that we got this sort of finished up, we're truly at the stage where I'm just waiting for these damn piston rings, man. I don't know. I hope the next time I pick up this camera and I pick up some wrenches and I go to work on that shovel swap bike, because I'm doing a bunch of other stuff in the meantime, but I hope the next time I come back to that thing, we are ready to put it together, man. I don't know. Fingers crossed. Yeah, baby. Glamorous entrance as always. As you guys can see, we got my dad's dad bike done. You know, I think it, like, just building it, I fell in love with it, man. I can't even deny it. It is so cool. It is so much fun to ride. It starts easy. It shifts beautifully. All the gauges work. Have yet to test cruise control, but theoretically should be totally good. Yeah, man, it's nuts. It's just like it left the factory with the Evo, except now it's got a way cooler motor. And I am willing to wager that this motor just might be a touch stronger than the stock Evo. Yeah, I got a feeling that this Shovelhead can deliver the mail, if you know what I mean. The Evo that came out of it was just a stock as a rock Evo. It had, you know, stock compression ratio, stock cam. It was a stock motor. This shovel has basically the same treatment as this shovel does, which is camshaft, much better valve train, like lightweight keepers, better springs, and lots of compression, baby, because compression makes power. And yeah, this thing being an electric start, like it's thoughtless. I mean, kickstarting my bike can sometimes be a bit of a bear. This thing is just hit the button and go. It's nuts. So I'm still breaking it in. I haven't fed it all the onions yet. I haven't gone crazy because I don't want to hurt it. I want to be nice and polite. Just kind of like going over it, checking for leaks, which, as you guys could have guessed, there are some leaks. But I'm pretty sure this lifter block is weeping and it's running under the motor and puking off the bottom. The other leak is, I'm pretty sure, the primary, where it seals to the actual, well, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, see, different color. That's light, that's dark, that's light, that's dark, that's light, that's dark. Yeah, so there's some different flavors of juice coming out of it. So if I have to fix a couple leaks, so be it. Typically, that's kind of how it goes anyways. But yeah, lo and behold, I guess what I'll do now is just get you guys some B-roll and then politely sign off. And we'll call this one a wrap. It's been a long time coming, you guys. Sorry this video took so long to make, but when you're waiting on parts, you're waiting on parts. So I'll catch up with you guys in a minute. Boom! So there you have it, boys and girls. That's another video for you guys. That's another bike in the books. And that's a wrap. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who said something kind, all the love, the support. It really keeps me going. It keeps me motivated, and it means a lot. So if you guys really want to make my day, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I think the bell thing. I think that's a thing. So do that. If you own a business, sponsor me, please. We always need help around here. So appreciate it, you guys. I'm out of here. You guys ride safe.